Hey folks, and welcome back to Glenn and Adrian's Rock Talk. That's Adrian.
And that's Glenn.
And today we return to Genesis, this time from 1984. However, they're playing things that pretty much showed up on the Three Sides Live album that came out in 1982. We're going to look at this video that was actually of a show in February of 1984 where they do In the Cage, the medley after In the Cage, and then go into Afterglow. Now, I'm not sure if it was exactly like that on Three Sides Live or not. So looking forward to this. It was recorded in Birmingham, for those of you that were around at the time. And it apparently also includes parts of Cinema Show, In That Quiet Earth, and Colony of Slippermen. Of course, this is going to have Chester Thompson on drums and Daryl Stwermer on guitar. And Tony Banks apparently is going to have a Yamaha CP70 and CS80.
An EMU emulator, I don't know what that is. And a Synclavier 2, a Prophet 5, and a Prophet 10, an Arc Quadra, Roland VP330, sounds awesome, doesn't it? And a Boss CE1.
I don't think he has enough keyboards.
No, me neither.
He needs to get more.
I think he must also have a Hammond organ in here and maybe a Mellotron, possibly. Well, maybe not at this point. I don't know. Let's see if we can spot a Mellotron on stage. And, of course, Mike Rutherford doing his normal thing, bass guitar, and Phil Collins. So... Yeah, it should be interesting. We never actually watched this particular edition of Genesis performing anything before. So looking forward to that.
Yeah, I'm just looking forward to hearing In the Cage. I mean, that's one of my favorite songs from Landlines Down on Broadway. But,
yeah, it looks to me like most of the same stuff is in there. It could be that there's a little bit of... Let's give it a close listen and see if we hear anything different or remember anything different. Because we have heard Three Sides Live. We have not heard this before. I'm just assuming that it's going to be very similar. If we can, maybe we'll stop in the middle since it's 20 minutes long. You'll see what makes sense if there's any graceful time to pause. But otherwise, we'll see on the other side.
all right.
Let's check it out.
I got sunshine in my stomach, like I just rocked my baby to sleep. I got sunshine in my stomach, but I can't keep me from creeping sleep, sleep deep in the deep. raindrops keep falling on my head, keep falling on my raindrops keep falling on my head, keep falling on my raindrops keep falling on my head, keep falling on my raindrops keep falling on my head, they keep falling on my head. In a trap, fear is strife, fear is a thief, dress to kill, now chances now that I'll make it. In this cushion, straight jacket, just like 22nd Street. You know they got me by my neck and feet. Precious beauty, can't take more. My head is charged, my ear is rolled.
So we're hearing some new things in here. We heard In That Quiet Earth was not found within the Three Sides Live medley. Everything else, though, seems to be where it was before. You know, coming out of the In the Cage into the cinema show, kind of the altered cinema show solo that we have from Selling England by the Pound. And then going into In That Quiet Earth off Wind and Wuthering. And now it sounds like we're about to go back into the Slippermen from The Lamb. And then presumably from there, we're going to wind up in Afterglow, also off Wind and Wuthering. Sorry, I was trying not to break the flow too much, you know, but wanted to get that in there just so people understood in case they didn't know what those songs were. So, anything to add, Adrian?
Well, it was awesome to see and hear both Chester and Phil on the drums. I mean, they're two drummers I admire tremendously, both of them.
They sound fantastic together, yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds amazing. They really do jibe well together. You know, I see why he's on this tour. So, all right. Let's continue. We've only got about 6 and something minutes left, so 6+ minutes. So let's go ahead and check the rest of this.
All right.
Like the dust that settles all around you, I must find in you ways and hopes that used to give me shelter. They're all as one to me now. I would search everywhere just to hear your call and walk upon strange roads in this wonderful world I used to know before. 'Cause I miss you more. The sun reflecting off my pillow, bringing the warmth of your light. And the sound echo all around me. Well, I caught a glimpse of in the night. But now I've lost everything. I'll give to you my soul, and the meaning of all that I believed before escapes me in this world of none. With no thing, you know what? See when I would search everywhere just to hear your call you more. You know I miss you more.
All right. Wow, what a performance.
Yeah, just going back to In the Cage, I mean, it's the first time I've seen Phil Collins doing this song. I've seen or heard it. And I also noticed it was pretty interesting. He was kind of channeling Peter Gabriel or Rail with that leather jacket.
Oh, I hadn't really considered that, but I guess that's a possibility.
I think it looks similar to what Peter used to wear, like during the Lamb shows.
You're right. It does kind of look like he's got a bit of a costume on. I don't know, though, because he also didn't tend to like the costumes that Peter had at the time. It was one of his chief complaints about the group at the time was all the stuff Pete was doing up front. Yeah, so I don't know what the leather jacket's about. Maybe it is something like that. Possibly. Maybe he picked up some of the theatrics from it, but just not that much.
Yeah, maybe Phil changed his mind about the costumes. Who knows?
Well, this is pretty mild, too, compared to what Pete was doing.
Oh, yeah. Oh, for sure.
And, there's like no full face makeup or anything like that, or turning into, the prosthetics turning into an old guy or any of that stuff. So, yeah, good performance. We've heard them play this on Three Sides Live. However, there were differences here, some key differences. In particular, putting In That Quiet Earth in the middle was a nice change. And it sounded like they also changed up a few pieces and made them longer. But for the most part, it's pretty close to what was on Three Sides Live. It's just nice to have the benefit of actually seeing what they're doing, and really coming to appreciate that. Yeah, I would have loved to have had this back in the day to look at, first time we were seeing it. Hearing it, I mean.
Yeah, I mean, just again, seeing Phil Collins and Chester Thompson, both on stage, both playing drums.
Yeah, they are a great twosome for sure. Yeah, it's a big sound they had, Anytime you have two drummers on stage, it tends to make the sound bigger, I think. I mean, you have the Allman Brothers, for example, and of course the Grateful Dead. Plenty of other acts. Pink Floyd was doing it for a while. Toward maybe not two kits, but plenty of drums and percussion and things going on. Even Elton John does that.
Frank Zappa had Chester Thompson and another drummer named Ralph Humphrey on his Roxy video.
Okay, see, so it is nice to be able to do that sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there you go. It was a very cool performance. This apparently is on Genesis concert DVD, the Mama Tour Live. So this was probably the throwback medley. There's no telling. This may have been everything from before Duke or before, maybe before, and then there were three. Maybe they played Follow You, Follow Me, something like that. But so this would have been a time, even if we'd had a chance to see Genesis at this moment, we may not have gone, just based on the fact that it was probably not going to be much of the old stuff that we liked. We did like this stuff, for sure, and over time I've come to appreciate it even more. And Phil Collins' voice cannot be denied. For a guy that didn't want to be a singer at all, he really came around and turned into an excellent singer. We heard more general improv on his vocal performance. I noticed also there was some more improv in what Mike Rutherford was doing on the bass guitar. And of course, the medleys changed up a bit to probably because Tony Banks said, hey, we should do this. This would sound neat, putting this in here like this. And, there were tiny little bits that you won't find on their regular albums that were just in this medley. So that's cool.
I really enjoyed seeing this. It did remind me a little bit of Three Sides Live, but it was different.
Yeah, a lot of the same components, but certainly a different year. And it was nice that they changed things up a little bit, added new composition in there. Great, all right.
You can tell just from the keyboards, this is the 80s version of In the Cage.
Yeah, that's true. Although I did notice he did have a Hammond organ up there, Tony Banks did. So
he did.
He never lost the Hammond. So power to him on that. Okay, well, folks, why don't you let us know what you thought of this, and if you're familiar with what we just heard, even the Three Sides Live portion, or if this all comes as brand new music. If you were at this show in Birmingham or any other shows from that time period, would be really interested in hearing your thoughts. It was just an exceptional thing to be able to take a look at. We really haven't seen much of Phil in front of the band when we look at Genesis so far, and I feel like we probably need to beef that up a little bit. So, folks, if you have suggestions of other songs you'd like us to check out, Genesis in concert with Phil up front, let us know. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. And if you enjoyed our presentation, please subscribe. Don't forget, we have a new channel now, Modern Rock Talk, where we put reactions and reviews of interviews that have taken place of touring bands. So that includes The Warning. That includes actually Alex Lifeson. Even though he's not touring, he's got a band putting out music, and we're hoping they're going to tour someday. And they want to, I'm sure. And plenty of others. I sort of wish Genesis was still touring. Maybe we'll look for a Steve Hackett or something at some point. But in any case, go check it out if you haven't. And thanks so much for being with us today here. And we'll catch you on the next one, all right? Take care, folks.
See y'all later.